Welcome to Read Your Comics. Today I'm looking at The Incredible Hulk, number 343. We are barreling towards the end of the McFarlane era from the Peter David Hulk run. Awesome McFarlane cover. I only see his name on it, so I'm assuming he inked this himself, and just judging by all the little noodly lines on it, that's probably a safe bet. Kind of disappears on the background there. His face looks like it's just coming out of like a green void. Disappears through these speed lines here, but I don't know that he should have added anything else in there because it may have gotten a little cluttered as it is, this machinery and all the yellow dominating the canvas as it is. This is another one I have like a pretty clear memory of purchasing off the rack at the convenience store near my house. This yellow just jumps out at you. This is kind of an underrated cover in a lot of ways. But I do think it's a little messy with the machinery and just all being yellow, because a lot of times I have to look at it twice. You see this big hook hand, but like this head piece of the robot kind of disappears at times. But otherwise, you're getting what you expect from the issue. Again, the Hulk is going to be smashing some robots, right? And that's what we love in a good Hulk story, is some smashing. So let's dive on in. Recap on the story kind of going on here. A lot of this is going to be narrated by Rick Jones in this issue, which has been an interesting change. Almost every issue you get kind of a different narration viewpoint. I think in the last issue it was mostly the Hulk narrating. In this one we're going to get mostly Rick Jones, but it does segue a little bit in the middle. So they've been on the hunt to find the gamma bomb stockpile that the government has been hiding, while also looking for Betty, who had run off with this guy, Ramon. They kind of tracked her to Louisiana, but then I think they decided the gamma bombs were more important for the time, and so they were doing that. But here we're going to start out with a woman running through the woods. I love this shot of the eye, this close-up right here, the way the lashes are done on it. There's panic in this little eye here. Going through nice silhouette panel with the tattered clothes. So she's obviously in distress. And here's our yellow robot hand that we saw from the cover. She runs out into the road. If we look close, we can tell this is the van that our road group has been driving in here, of Clay, Rick, and Bruce. And sure enough, it's Betty. They come to a screeching stop. So nice title page here. It drives the interest of the issue. They've been looking for Betty, and all of a sudden they're just driving down the road and Betty just comes out of the woods. Got our credits, Peter David, Todd McFarlane on art, so he is inking this issue still. Probably about this time he had started doing Spider-Man too. So the fact that he was still inking himself on this and starting Spider-Man at about the same time. I looked it up on fandom.com, and this came out in January of 88, and McFarlane's first issue of Spider-Man, ASM 298, came out in November of 87. So, yeah, a couple months of overlap here. Still inking himself on this. He was not inking himself on Amazing Spider-Man at the same time. That's a lot of work, though. I think of a lot of workhorses in the industry, like obviously Kirby, John Byrne, John Romita, those guys doing like multiple books in a month. I never really thought of McFarlane that way, but, looking back, I guess it makes sense, because I was buying these Hulks off of the newsstand, and when I found a comic shop towards the end of this run, I was already seeing McFarlane stuff on the shelves on Amazing Spider-Man. So looking back, that does make sense, but I did not realize that at the time. So anyway, they're going to come to a nice screeching stop here. I like the way that McFarlane did the wheel kind of bending right there, a little cartooning going on to, express that the suddenness of the stop. Bruce jumps out, runs over to her, but as he runs to her, the big robot hand grabs her by the face and pulls her in. And this is where Rick's narration really comes in, discussing how Bruce isn't a coward, but he's a scientist, and he thinks logically, and he usually knows, he's outmatched here, so the smart thing to do would be to retreat, head into the van where they have weapons, because this is a SHIELD caravan here. But Bruce loses it. This is a great panel of Bruce's face, like sweat beads pouring down his face. A lot of the noodling lines happening here, and this is where the noodling lines actually work for more than just McFarlane indulging himself. So Bruce jumps and attacks at the robot. Now I do want to point out these boots too. Something funny about the boots, which I noticed on this page. Let me look back on this one and see. You can kind of see it here too. These boots are like really rounded. See how they are like up here? I'm wondering if that was something that a lot of artists were doing at this time to avoid drawing feet in like proper shapes. So instead they would just do these like kind of big bulky boots that were just kind of like a oval, like an egg shape almost. You can see them there too. So the robot, smacks Bruce away, and they fly off with Betty. Bruce gets in the car, and he starts saying, they're getting away. Clay says he's tracking them, but they got to head to Arizona to get the gamma bombs. They're like, we'll get back to Betty. We'll find her. And it's interesting because this happened the opposite way about 2 issues ago in the Man Bull issue. Clay jumped all over Bruce and threatened him like this. And here we go again with Bruce being the aggressor in this case. And the noodling lines really helping show the expression, the anger in Bruce's face coming through, because it's all contorted in it's like when you're mad and your face just scrunches up. All the muscles in your face scrunch up. Still some wild McFarlane hair here though. I don't know why. It's like when he does it at different angles, he's not quite sure how to draw it. There it looks crazy. It looks almost natural there. It's just when he goes from the other angles, it kind of jumps around. So Clay says, okay, we'll track the robots. We'll head down. Sun's going down as they track them to this, looks like a subdivision being built, Carter Estates. Their G.I. Joe wagon here pops its guns out and is blasting them. Rick jumps out with a bazooka or something, like some kind of rocket launcher. So he jumps out, jumping with it and shooting it and taking out at least one robot. Another one flips the car over, but now it's nighttime and look who's coming out. Good dialogue here too. It's like, no, it's not fair. I wanted to do it myself. I wanted to rescue her. Don't let him be the hero. And the Hulk comes out. Cut away. Now we're getting away from the Rick Jones narration, and we're getting some different narration. This is an interesting little panel here, or triple panels, of the darkness with the little light flare. Typical McFarlane profile view here as we go into a flashback. This is Saunders, who's been with the Hulkbusters throughout this. And I don't remember them giving a lot of background on him in the past, so I'm not sure if this is completely recap or if this is kind of added on. But it shows him as a kid. He was, always wanting to blow stuff up. Even in a chemistry lab, he figured out how to make some big explosives. So he went to the military to be an explosives expert. Notice how the profile turns to silhouette. But something interesting, and I don't know how well it's coming through in the camera, but there's little pops of a lighter blue right here. So it's not like he's completely in the dark. There's still a little bit of light coming through. And we continue going through his history here. So there was a bank robbery, or somebody came in saying they had a bomb in a suitcase, and being a explosives expert from the military, he took it upon himself to disarm the guy. And he's like, I'm an explosives person. And he realized it was too late, and he threw it over just as a woman and a child were coming out of the bathroom, indicating that it ended tragically, not just ended them, but also his career. There's blowing up. Army expert kills mother and child. And that was the thing about the Hulkbusters, is they were all kind of outcast in their field of whatever they did. Some were in science, some were in the military. Something had happened in their career, and the Hulkbusters was almost like giving them a second chance. Notice here, we're totally black now. Totally black. So it's almost like he's, gone into the dark. And is it these 3 panels now, the light is going back to black? Just take note of that. Let's get back to some Hulk smashing here. As Rick is taking on the androids, And they started with 3, and I thought they took a couple out already, so there must be even more coming out of the woodwork. I like this question mark thought balloon here is like digital looking. Pretty clever. The printing gets that question mark kind of thin, hard to see. But the Hulk tunnels his way through the ground, pulls it under, and just, smashes it off scene. And then you just start seeing the pieces come up through the hole. And then he comes out next. Uh-oh. Even the robots have personality. They discard Betty, and the Hulk screams, Betty! And so far, every time that they mention Betty or anything to do with Betty, the Hulk always tries to act like he doesn't care about her. But here you obviously have him screaming it out. Rick takes a note and says, earlier Bruce sounded like the Hulk, and now the Hulk sounds like Bruce. And so help me, I don't know which is scarier. Good lettering here on the word dead. Whoever sent you to is dead. Got our silhouette panel here of his, the teeth and the eyes. Get that at least once an issue. Just awesome smashing going on here. Big giant robots, bulky Hulk. I love the way the shape of the Hulk that McFarlane draws is, I love it. He's not like as big as a house, but he's just massive. Like you can see the weight in him. So when he picks up a robot and throws it at another one, you can like just feel that energy being conveyed through it, through the crunch. And one of them gets a hold of him and slings him down for a second. And they start piling on a bunch of like tractors and stuff on him. You know how well that's going to go. Now we're going to get this same thing happening again. And this is Larroquette, who was also part of the Hulkbusters. And we're going to go through the same kind of situation with him. Kind of explains his childhood growing up. Meeting a woman, falling in love. Something happened here that caused them to split. They didn't do the like spot color on this one. I don't know if they meant to, but messed up or what, but it just went straight to black. Same situation here where he worked for this company, and it explains how he was leading some kind of expedition and there was an earthquake or something that killed some people he was with. The boss of the company blamed him. Said secretly you blamed yourself as well, but you couldn't help yourself being chewed out by the boss. It was always against authority. Punched the guy, and then went to the Hulkbusters, where he met back up with the woman that he was in love with earlier, and they were starting to rekindle their relationship when she died during a training exercise of the Hulkbusters. And he blames the Hulk. He blames Bruce Banner for that. Just for the Hulk's creation is why he blames Banner. Get back to some robots. Great panel of the Hulk here. I love this one. There's your cover image right there. We get the silhouetted face again. And the Hulk picks up the rocket launcher that Rick had. Hungry? Knocks its head off. Sticks the rocket launcher down in its head. And blows it to pieces. Whew. The Hulk treats a rocket launcher like it's a pistol. This is just like a great example of how the Hulk is he's just big and massive. The noodling lines do get out of hand in the muscles sometimes. Looks like he gives him hairy arms even right there. Quick little sidebar. I was getting this as a kid. Had no idea who Jack Kirby was, but this is an awesome Dr. Doom, Kirby Doom, that I recognize now as Jack Kirby, but back in the day I wouldn't have realized this is a Kirby Doom. Pretty cool that was still in the ad. Still getting mileage out of Jack Kirby's work. I mean, this is an ad for a convention, but still getting that Kirby mileage, even well into the 80s at this point. All the robots are nice and smashed. The Hulk straightens up the van where it got knocked over. It does have a cracked windshield still. Will it next issue? We'll find out. And then our trope, too, of the Hulk wanting some food. He's been hungry this whole time. I'm going to get some food. Worked up an appetite. Rick says, what about Betty? Get it straight, Jones. I beat up some robots who thought they were tougher than me. Period. I don't care about Banner's wife. Maybe he has feelings, obligations towards her, but not me. Never me. Got it? In the Rick narration. In my time, I've feared the Hulk, defended him, hidden him, helped him, escaped him. But I've never hated the Hulk until now. I spit and curse him. He turned to look at me, and even he seemed surprised as I reamed him out, fury choking my voice. Years of bottled up bile poured out, and I thought, Ricko, you've made your last mistake. And then, real quiet, he said, get her covered, keep her warm. I'll get food for all of us. And then he was gone. I mean, the characterization of the Hulk, I think, is one of the strengths that Peter David is doing throughout this whole run so far. He's making a very blurry line between who is in control here, Banner and the Hulk. Are they different people? And the answer is no. They're the same person. Just the Hulk is Banner's id. He's very self-centered, but really he's not. This isn't Banner having a little bit of control over the Hulk. This is Banner is the Hulk. So, good characterization, still building up. One more time, we're going to get the 3 panels, and this time we're doing the reverse lighting. Waking up, we see the leader's scrotum head, or broccoli head, handlebar mustache, big grinning teeth right there. He's waking up for Saunders and Larroquette, and he's named them Redeemer and Rock. Redeemer, obviously, for redeeming himself, I guess, from the mistake he made where the mother and child died, and Rock, or I guess, I don't know why he's called the Rock exactly. Anyway, Rock and Redeemer in action. Bruce and Betty and the Hulk have it out. All this in Gamma Bomb Run. And that's it. That's all for this one. Pretty good issue, I think. Until next time, read your comics.